Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Today I want to talk about, what do I want to talk about? Oh, draw length and anchor points. Both are extremely important and they will definitely work together to making sure that you're where you're at position wise for your shot. And if they work, if they're both set where they should be, then when you draw back your bow, you're going to be pretty close to right where you need to be, and there's not going to be any adjustments needed. For the most part, you should be able to just tip your nose to your string, and it should be such a short distance that you shouldn't be having to move around or lean forward to put your nose on the string. If it's in the wrong position, putting your nose on the string is actually probably a bad idea, because you're manipulating your head, which is going to change your mechanics, and it's just going to throw everything off. If you're new and you're trying to get this all set up and figure everything out, these are two super important things when you get your bow set up. I would highly recommend going to an archery shop to have your bow set up professionally for you. Everything from the draw length to the sights, everything. If your bow's set up properly for you, everybody's going to be different. If it's set up properly for you, it will set you up for success. If it's not set up properly, then you're going to struggle. I had a friend who got a bow and it wasn't set up properly, and she struggled to get consistency and hit the target. It was a mess. She was all over the place. She had her mechanics going pretty good, except her draw length was off, and she couldn't get a consistent anchor point because of that. She kept trying to get her nose to the string, and it wasn't working right. I'm going to show you real quick. I want you to notice, I'm going to draw my bow back, and I want you to notice when I draw, like immediately once I'm drawn back, I want you to notice how close I am to my actual shooting position, and the minimum effort that I have to put in to acquiring the peep and touching my nose to the string. I didn't have to adjust anything. Sometimes I do, depending. If I have to adjust something, it's ever so slightly, and if it's a major adjustment, I typically probably want to let it down because something's off. But again, if it's set up properly, you'll pull back. Your nose will be within an inch of that string once you get your anchor point, and your draw length is going to determine your anchor point. So your anchor point should be, I use a handheld, so it's going to be different for everybody. Regardless, you want that arrow sitting right here between your lip and your chin. That's where you want the arrow. So if you are using a wrist release, that's fine. You'll just need to adjust your draw length and set your anchor point. Use a mirror or record yourself and find a good position that keeps your arrow right between your lip and the bottom of your chin right there. The best way to, obviously you need to know your draw length. So the easiest way to determine your draw length is to get somebody to do it for you, or you can do it yourself. Typically what you want to do is stand up against a wall like this. Make sure you're nice and straight. I got a mirror on the other side, so it's easy to see here. You're going to want your hand in a position where you're going to be holding your bow. Your elbow should be soft, so you shouldn't be locked out like that. If it's soft, your hands and your grip is in the right position. So you want it soft, and then you're going to turn and face the target. Pretend there's a target there. And then you're going to measure from the wall to the corner of your mouth right here. And you're facing that direction. So somewhere right in here is going to be where you want that corner of the string to be. So once you have that set, I guess a good way to do it would be take a string, or if you have one of these handy dandy knock-on release trainers. You could use one of these. And same thing, setting the draw length on this. You want to set your draw length exactly on this where it should be on your bow. So once you get this set, right, it's at the corner of my mouth, and I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. Or if you just have a string, you just hold the string between these two fingers, put your hand up against the wall, and pull that string back to it's at the corner of your mouth. Hold that position, let it down, measure it. Okay, that's your draw length. That's where it should be, as far as I know, for pretty much everyone. That's extremely important. And those two things work together. To get your draw length right, to get your anchor point where it should be, your draw length has to be where it should be. Because at some point you're going to change that. Somebody's going to correct it, or they should, if you get any help. And then you're going to have to find a new anchor point, which is, learning a new anchor point is a little frustrating at times. It took me a while when I switched to this silverback release trainer, but it took me a minute to acquire that anchor point that I wanted. But when you pull it back, it should be the same on this, right here. This right here, between these two knuckles right here, it sits right here on my chin. Actually, my jawline goes right between those two knuckles. And if it's a little higher, it's a little lower, something's wrong, something's off. I'm going to let it down and I'm going to readjust. That's where your anchor point should be for most people, and most people choose that. Again, everybody's different. Some people do it their own way, and that works for them. This is what I learned, so this is what I'm sharing. It was extremely helpful to me, learning this technique and learning about the specific draw length and anchor point. It was super important for me. It made a huge difference. Those are important things, obviously, because you want repeatable things that you can feel every single time when you're going through your steps of your shot. That's it. That's all I got. Any questions, let me know. Drop a comment below. Hit the bell, the dinger, for notifications. Appreciate you if you subscribe to the video as well. And until next time, take it easy.